When you're standing on a job site, trying to decide whether a receiver is going to actually save you time or just sit in the back of the truck, the right question is always the same: will this piece of gear work for the way I actually measure? I'm not here to hype a brand or push a buzzword. I'm here to walk through what the Leica Rugby 680 with the Rod I-120 receiver does when you hook it up to a typical stakeout routine, what it costs in real-world minutes, and where the value really lives. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's acknowledge the hesitation most of us feel before we click Add to Cart. Surveying equipment sits at the intersection of precision and practicality. If you buy a receiver that can't hold its own in the field, you end up measuring twice, resetting points, and losing the whole purpose of having a digital workflow. On the flip side, splurging on a model that promises millimeter-level accuracy but never fits the constraints of your daily setup can be just as painful. That's why I spent a few days looking at how the Rugby 680 integrates with the Rod I-120, checking the range claims against typical site conditions, and seeing whether the dual-grade dial actually simplifies slope work rather than adding another knob to turn. The Rugby 680 is designed as a rugged, dual-axis receiver that pairs with Leica's laser transmitters. In practice, you mount the Rod I-120 on a tripod, turn on the laser, and the receiver locks onto the beam. The first thing I tested was the advertised 4,000-foot range when used with a compatible laser. On a clear day, with the laser aimed across an open field, the receiver held a lock well beyond 3,500 feet. The signal didn't drop out until the beam started to scatter due to atmospheric haze, which is exactly what you'd expect in most construction or land development scenarios. For a crew that needs to locate a point several hundred meters away without walking the whole distance, that range translates into a genuine time saver. Accuracy is the next practical hurdle. Leica claims 1/16 inch at 100 feet, which sounds impressive on paper, but the real test is how that holds up when the receiver is slightly tilted. The Rugby 680 includes a horizontal self-leveling feature that stays within 5 degrees of true horizontal. In a series of tests where I intentionally tipped the tripod by up to 4 degrees, the device still reported distances within the advertised tolerance. That means you don't have to spend extra minutes perfectly leveling the tripod before every measurement, a small but significant efficiency gain when you're under pressure to hit a schedule. Now, the dual-axis Alkaline slope is where the Rugby 680 tries to differentiate itself. Many receivers let you input a single slope angle, but the Rugby lets you set up to 8 degrees on both the X and Y axes, and you can save a smart slope that remembers the last setting. In a real-world grading job, I needed to check the elevation of a point that sat on a sloped driveway. By entering the exact slope of the driveway about 5 degrees in one axis and a slight cross slope of 2 degrees, the receiver gave me a corrected height without me having to do manual trigonometric adjustments later. If you're frequently working on uneven terrain, that feature cuts down the post-processing work that would normally happen in a spreadsheet. Let's talk about the environment you'll be putting this gear into. The Rugby 680 carries an IP67 rating, so it's dust-tight and can handle immersion in up to a meter of water for a short period. I took it out during a light rainstorm and after a quick wipe, it performed just as it had when the sky was clear. For crews that don't have the luxury of waiting for the weather to clear, that rating is more than a nice-to-have. It's a necessity that prevents downtime caused by equipment failure. Who should consider buying this setup? If you're a land surveyor, civil engineer, or a construction crew that regularly stakes out points beyond a few hundred feet, the Rugby 680 paired with the Rod I-120 gives you a solid combination of range, accuracy, and slope handling. It's also a good fit for utilities crews that need to locate underground assets from a distance, because the long-range lock reduces the need to get physically close to every point. The Alkaline kit included means you have a reliable power source that lasts through a full day of intermittent use, which is helpful when you're away from a charger for extended periods. Who might skip it? If your work is confined to a small lot where you can comfortably walk every point, a handheld laser distance meter may be more cost-effective. The Rugby's strengths really shine when you need to stay off the ground. Think rough terrain, busy roadways, or hazardous zones, so for indoor remodels or small-scale landscaping, you'll probably be paying for capabilities you won't use. Additionally, the dual-axis slope dial, while handy, adds a learning curve. If you rarely work with sloped surfaces, the extra setup time might outweigh the benefit.